how to minimize risks when you have a remote team, an offshore team, or just a team that is working from home, right? It's all the same thing. If we've learned anything, that people that work from home can really work from anywhere. And so as someone that's had a lot of team members working from overseas, developers in Ukraine, writers in the Philippines, and all over the world, there's always an element of risk with user access. And this is a common question that I get asked with clients that are attempting to leverage teams that are overseas in the Philippines, virtual assistants and admins, and why not? I've found that, I'm not going to comment on the employment in Australia, but in my track record, I found that people are able to find better talent overseas that will achieve the exact goals that I'm aiming for. And when you hire someone from overseas or from home, from anywhere, someone that's going to be logging in remotely online, you should always prepare for worst case scenario. If that user access goes rogue, if that access is leaked, what's the worst that will happen? And I'll just speak on the stuff that I do. It might be user access to the website, user access to the hosting, user access to the DNS, domain registrar, which only I have access to, nobody else. It does mean that a lot of technical stuff and a lot of blockers sit with me, and at the moment I'm cool with it. I like being on top of everything, but I've got a whole heap of clients that are attempting to hire people, whether it's here or overseas, on a process that they are unfamiliar with. Now, no doubt, you hire someone good and don't tell them what to do. That's one approach. That will obviously come at a huge cost. Or if you want to save costs, which is a lot of the intent behind hiring someone overseas, even though their resume is going to be AI'd and ChatGPT'd and going to sound the best that it possibly can, a lot of the time you can't trust it. So when hiring someone overseas or remote, you need to map out the exact process before you hire that person. Bonus points if you're capable of doing that thing. So whatever it might be. I'll just give examples of our agency, and I think I've recorded over 3,000 Loom videos just for standard operational procedures. And every month I update them. So how we set up a WordPress website, what plugins do we use, how do we license it, how do we set up the footer. Each one is an individual video from me showing exactly what buttons to press. That requires minimal thought, minimal experience, just someone to follow instructions along. And yeah, it could probably be done by AI, but because each website is a little bit different, I'm relying on common sense and just good humans that we will move a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right. But essentially every aspect of my agency, most aspects, have a standard operational procedure. For example, optimizing images to WebP, compressing images, all of the small micro tasks. When there's like 50,000 images, we need to optimize all of them to make the site fast. So before you hire someone, one, map out the process. Even if you find processes and buy processes online, map it out before you hire that person. I would do that task yourself a few times so you know what you're up against, so you know what buttons are pressed, and always have prepare for them to wipe everything, delete everything, and no means of recovery. So if you're not a technical person, find a technical person here in Australia that is trustworthy, that you rely on, that is recommended, that you've built a relationship with, and they can be your technical rock on whatever it is. It might be website hosting, it might be servers, and it might be whatever the topic is. So I just had an inquiry just last night saying, hey, our Upworker, we need to set up some integrations that like access to hosting and cPanel and stuff like that, and I just don't trust them. Look, I'm in a different state, so you're obviously trusting me, but the fact of the matter is, if you're not capable of implementing those technical things yourself, and I'm not saying you should, in fact, as a business owner, you probably shouldn't be doing any of that yourself, but have that contact to lean on if something goes wrong, if something needs to be recovered, or things like with hosting to be done, well, by someone a bit more trustworthy. So I'm completely with you that someone logging into your cPanel, which is your website hosting, could cause a lot of damage. Now, having said that, the likes of Venture IP, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other hosts, utilize one-click recovery backups. And that sounds very complex, and in most cases, doing backups of websites has failed miserably for me, for hundreds of times with me over the years. But when it's provided as a one-click solution from the host, that's great. And so if we take Venture IP, for example, you don't even need to be the one to log into the cPanel. Just ask the boys to do it. Contact support. Hey guys, I've messed up something with my site. Can you please recover? It's called an Acronis recovery in this scenario. With Google Workspace, there are forms of recovering documents and data, and all cloud providers, Office 365 and other workspaces, they all have these environments, especially if it's a business environment. So it's factored into the cloud solution. So whatever it is that you're giving access to, whether it's a CRM, whether it's Notion, Zoho, so many times I wake up in the morning and there's just whole dashboards just disappeared. I'm like, what is going on? And sure enough, someone accidentally pressed something, and it happens. Not malicious intent, but have means that you can rely on. Expect the worst, expect for them to go rogue, but be prepared. So I think there's two things going on here. It's ways to recover, and two is how do you make sure that meaningful work's going to get done? Have an SOP, standard operational procedure, of how to do that thing. Now, you might be hiring someone to do things that you don't know how to do. You should still do some research on how you feel it could be done, it should be done. Do some research on, pay a consultant, pay an agency for a consultation on how to build a landing page with Go High Level or something like that, or how to set up a Facebook ad. So that's why a lot of the time with larger companies, they will attempt to bring it all in-house and hire someone from the inside to run that thing. And those people don't know anything a lot of the time. They're like, it's my cousin that's been with the company, let's just give him a shot, see what he can do. So I log into those Google ads, I log into those Facebook ads, just leaking data. It's hilarious. It's not funny at all. So a lot of the time, hiring an agency that specializes in that thing, paying some big money, but be clear, like, hey, this is a couple of month contract. The goal is for us to take over. So they know, okay, I'm going to be in and out. There's not going to be any miscommunications. So my goal is to empower these guys to run their thing. Or just pay a consultant, pay an agency to run it. Don't tell them that. They'll set it up. Just make sure the user accounts are yours. Google ad account is yours. Facebook ad account is yours. And in a few months, once you've understood exactly how the processes works, that's where you hire someone internally, and you're hiring someone with experience of running that thing to take over it. But before you hire them, hey, see, are you able to run this? Can you check that you have full control and you're able to run it? Whether it's working from home or working from the Philippines, same process. And in fact, I've probably had more dodgy cases. I haven't had any cases from remote workers that do anything dodgy. And that says a lot about company culture and values. I've had more dodgy activity here in Australia at crazy prices. And that's why I just gave up, and I really want to have a team here, but it's just not likely. It doesn't need to happen at this stage. Hope this helps, and moral of the story, have means of recovery, prepare for the worst, and map out your systems and processes for every job before you hire someone, so it's really clear what their job is and how they track success.